Hey everyone, Darren here from Bear River Vineyards. At my daughter Sarah's suggestion, I'm going to do some videos over the course of this season that show just the key activities that go on during the course of the season. Won't be weekly by any stretch, but a few times a year for those that are interested, just to see some of the basic tasks that go into mostly the farming part of what we do here. And it is about 95% farming. Everybody says, oh, a winery, but it's a farming operation, make no mistake. And so the first thing we're going to do is talk about pruning, which is very key. We're almost done it for this season. Just one row left, and I thought, well, if I'm going to do the pruning video, I might as well do it now. And just one comment from me before we start. This is by no means a tutorial or a how-to video, because I'm not good enough at this yet. We're still only 3 seasons into this, so I'm still learning, and I have help from Elizabeth. Thanks, Elizabeth, with the pruning. But I'm finishing off some myself and going to take you through how we approach that to prepare the vine for the growing season. Okay, I'm now on the side of the camera I would prefer to be on, and I think the sound will be a little better now as well than when I had it quite far away from me. So this is the vine that I have chosen. They all look roughly the same, so it didn't really matter. But this one is just a really standard layout, so to speak, and it comes up into a nice T. So of course you have the trunk of the vine coming up, and then what you can see here is that last year the vine would have looked exactly the same as this. These 2 canes here that you can see are much more weathered looking wood. That's the second year wood. Those are the 2 canes right there, one going in each direction, that we chose out of all this mess last year as the strongest 2 canes, and we tied them down to that lowest wire and then up off those. So the cane this cane tied down would have looked much like this last year, and each one of the buds on it became one of the canes that grew this year. So it's going to be the same activity. There's about 16 canes coming off this, because we typically lay down a cane that has 8 buds on it in each direction. So 16 canes coming up, and we're going to cut that down to the strongest 2 that we think, and not just the strongest 2, but we also, in terms of where on the vine we want them located, closer to the root system, the more energy is derived. Obviously that's where the plant gets its growth and its energy from, is the root system. So you're going to pick canes. We're going to pick canes out of this cluster in here. We're not going to pick a cane way out at the end, even if it looks like it might be a good strong cane. It's too far away from the root system. And also you have to be aware there's vines every 4 feet. So if you let a vine sprawl way out there, before you know it, you just have significant overcrowding. So I'm going to make the cuts. You'll never know how long that takes me, because I'm going to pause it, and I'm pretty slow at this because it's a very important part of the year, and you need to make the right decisions on this. It influences how the plant will grow for the year. So I'll make the cuts and show you what it looks like. Okay, I have made the cuts. Didn't actually take me very long. And the first thing you're probably going to notice is that despite saying I'm going to leave the strongest 2, I've left 3 canes. So that is actually common, in particular in Nova Scotia or cooler grape growing climates. The 3rd cane is called a frost cane or a kicker cane. So for my example, it's probably that cane right there. So when the time comes to tie them down, this one will lay down on that wire and we'll tie it down in place. This one will lay down on that wire and we'll tie it down in place. And then once we're certain that we've passed the time of year where there's going to be a frost, and those Nova Scotians out there would know that in June of 2018 we had a very late frost that was very damaging. And so once we're certain that we're past that time, we'll cut that 3rd cane off. But it's just a safety cane, a kicker cane, or I call it a frost cane, just in case there was a late frost that damaged the others. Once these are tied down, they're lower to the ground and more susceptible to the frost. So the 3rd cane you never do tie down, and then you just cut it off when you're sure that there's no frost. And the buds that are higher above the frost line would have a better chance of surviving in that case. So the only other thing I was going to show is just an example of the canes themselves. This is part of what I cut off of that vine, so you can see the end cut there. It's a good healthy vine, but the canes are not all created equal. So one thing you got to be aware of when you're making your cuts is the health of the individual canes. So this first cane, if I cut that and show you, it was a very healthy cane. looks good. But if you notice this other one, the color goes from the nice, healthy, deep red that's typical of Geisenheim. I don't think I told you this was a Geisenheim vine, but as it goes up, you can see it turns color. And so if I cut that part, you're gonna see that there's no green in there. That part is dead. So this particular cane was dead right back to about that point right there, which only would have given us 3 good buds. So important that you don't just start cutting without first testing the canes. So each of the 3 canes I chose to keep, I did a cut to test the end before, so I knew that the vine was alive all the way out to the tip. So there we have it. Probably not all that interesting for some, but if you enjoyed it, I'll do some more throughout the course of the year. And at a minimum, I know Sarah will like it. So thanks for the idea, Sarah. Bye, everybody.